I was listening to a radio show about saying things that you shouldn't say or that have embarrassed you. You said wrong thing. I was going to say, if someone asks you a question and you don't want to answer it, you think it's going to be embarrassing. You know, something like, what size do you wear? How much do you make? Are they real? How much did it cost? I don't know, there's a lot of other ones. But if you're asked a question like that and you don't want to answer, but you don't really know how not to answer, there's two ideas. One person I used to know, I guess I still know her, she would just ignore the question. It was like nothing had been said. She just carry on as if no question had ever been asked. Another thing to do is to say, why do you ask? That really stops them. Why do you ask? Somebody says, why were you in the hospital? Well, why do you ask? Well, obviously they are concerned. But there are things that happen in life and people don't want to share the information with other people. And that's a good one. Why do you ask? I just thought I would tell you that. Also, when somebody is trying to tell you how to live, and they want to change you for some reason, they think that they know better how you should act or be than you do. Well, and they can get into a nice little tirade like a lecture, just like mom with the kids, right? Thank you for that information. That's a really good one. Thank you for that information. Instead of defending yourself, I don't do that, or, oh, what's wrong with that? You know, there's all that kind of stuff that could go on defense. But if you just say, thank you for that information. Another idea, when somebody says something to you that's really rude or unkind, like, for instance, my father once said to me, Nancy, you are getting way too fat. Well, hi, Dad. Nice to see you, too. I shouldn't have said that on here. Oops. Well, anyway, that's a good example. If someone says something to you that's quite rude and unkind, how about saying, do you realize you said that out loud? See, if I had thought about that at the time, all the, in retrospect, hindsight is better than, of course, whatever. Anyway, you would have answered a lot better if you had time to think. So maybe if you go ahead and take time to think ahead of time, what would I say if someone says something insulting to me? And I just like that one. Do you realize you said that out loud? Or aloud? How about when you say something embarrassing? When you're complaining about the no peanut butter in the school, and you realize that the person that you're complaining about it to is the parent of that child who has a peanut butter allergy. How do you deal with situations like that? How do you wiggle out of it smoothly without leaving them feeling bad or you feeling bad? I think that, I don't know the answer to that one. That was what they said on the radio. But I think that it's important that we don't have long toes. That means somebody steps on your toe. Well, the Dutch phrase is to have long toes. I think that it's important that we don't let ourselves be embarrassed by or offended by what somebody says. There are many groups of people now that are, not your white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. And it appears that by saying anything, you could offend any of those groups. Well, it would be good if if somebody calls me a derogatory comment, do I take offense and go huddle off in my corner and stew? No. Why would I bother? And why would I want people to live their life so that I can go around and not feel, I don't know, embarrassment for who I am or something like that? It's not up to other people. It's not up to other people to make me feel good. Of course, I really like it when you guys compliment me and make me feel good. That makes me feel great. And it does feel awful when somebody puts you down. But there's these inadvertent comments. And to take offense to an inadvertent comment, you know, to me, I was with somebody and he was lame. I think he had a cane, or maybe he had a crutch. And we were on a press trip, and I hadn't realized it. I hadn't noticed him walking or something. And then we were on this hike. This was in Switzerland. We were on this hike, and he was not going to be one of the people to go on the glacier because of his handicap. And I said to him, "Oh, I didn't realize you were all crippled up." To me, I don't think I said anything wrong. I mean, if my leg is not working, that's what I say. I'm all crippled up. I'm not calling somebody a cripple. I think it would be kind of strange to say, "Oh, I didn't realize you were handicapped." But anyway, if he had taken offense, which he didn't, you know, then where would I be? I'd have to sort of come out of it with some kind of an apology. "Oh, I didn't mean to say," you know. But luckily it didn't matter to him. But in the crowd, somebody else was there, and she said, "Oh, I didn't know anybody used that word anymore." So we've gotten ourselves so tangled up in political correctness so as not to be able to, and nobody will be able to take offense by anything I say or do. Well, it's pretty impossible. You know, you step on a leaf and you could offend, you know, "Oh, I like stepping on leaves." Well, maybe you're offending the vegetarians, you know. It's like saying, I like clubbing seals. So then you've offended all the anti-seal coalitions, or you know what I mean. Like, anything that you say you like can offend somebody. See, now I have to qualify it that I don't like clubbing seals. I'm not a seal clubber. See how political correctness just gets away? Now remember, how long have I been talking? A long time. Remember this story of the prince, what is it called? Not The Emperor's New Clothes. That is an awesome story. That story should be told and retold and read to your children. That is about, you know, political correctness is what that story is about. Nobody wanted to offend the king or make themselves look like they didn't know any better by mentioning the fact that the king wasn't wearing any clothes, right? That he had do you remember the story? Do you guys know the story? Okay, I'll tell you the story. Once upon a time there was a king and there were these thieves, and they showed up in the palace and they said, "We have the most wonderful fabric to show you, and only those who are very smart and wise can see the fabric." And so then they pretended to unroll all this lovely fabric in front of the king. And of course they didn't have anything in their hands, they were just pretending. And they were, I guess he didn't touch it, right? Or maybe it was something you couldn't feel it either if you weren't wise. So anyway, so he has all these clothes made out of it, and then they pretend to work, but really they're just hanging out. And then he goes and has this parade with this supposedly beautiful clothes, and everybody who would come in to admire the work had always pretended that they saw it because they didn't want anybody to think they were a fool. Is that a bucket on the side of the road? Why, I think it is. Look at that. Just what the doctor ordered. I'm not going to drive by it today. Anyway, so I think that is a very good story about political correctness, and that we need to be not afraid to see things as they are, and not just how everybody else wants us to think they are. You'll find that many times. Like calling good evil and evil good. Like it's not politically correct to say that, values, for instance. There's supposed to be a big gray line, and it doesn't matter what's on either side of it. But it does matter. And the people would like you to say, no, well, this is fine and that's fine. And, but there are good and bad, right and wrong, good and evil, black and white. But the lines in this day and age are so blurry, and it's this political correctness that is at the bottom of it. Anyway, that's my little blurb. See you later. Hope I didn't offend anybody. Jeepers.